Hey everyone, it's Scott Monkern. It's time to do another one of my reviews. Welcome to the week of August 7th. So this week I'm going to review Raiders of the North Sea. This is part of what's called the North Sea trilogy by Garphill. Um, and it's by Shem Phillips and many, many others. Names I can't even pronounce. It comes out of the Pacific Rim, I think out of New Zealand. I don't want to offend anybody. I think it comes out of New Zealand. I have had this game, I've had the trilogy for quite a while, probably over a year. I've been playing Explorers of the North Sea for quite a while. I hadn't pulled out Raiders. Um, Finally got the opportunity to pull out Raiders, and I want to tell you a little bit how it is. So let's talk about the game in itself. Raiders of the North Sea is a game where we're all playing the heads of essentially like not Viking villages, but Viking teams, where we're going to go out and we're going to go raiding. Obviously, hence the name raiding. It is a worker placement game. So it's got a worker placement board. It's right here. It's a very large board. Not quite as big as Viticulture, but a pretty big board. You can see here it goes actually one more thing. It's 6. And you've got two things you're doing in game. One is you're collecting resources to go on raids, and the second one is that you're then going on the raids. And on your turn, you can basically do one or the other. Now, as a worker placement game goes, this has a very unusual mechanic. It's the only case where I've seen this. I call it the play one, take one mechanic. If you're collecting resources, so you're working in the village, the way it works is you have a colored meeple. It is either black, white, or gray. People don't have individually colored meeples. It's always they're different meeples that serve different purposes. You take your meeple, you play it on an open spot in the village, and you take the action on that village. Then you select another meeple that's already on the board, other than the one you just played, and you pick it up off of a spot and you take that action. So when you're in the village, you get to take 2 actions. Now, if you're raiding, you play a meeple into a spot where you're going to do a raid. There are about 15 or 20 different raid spots out there, and you then take a meeple from there, and that's the next meeple you're going to play. It's a really neat mechanic because you're having to plan towards the future because each colored meeple has different effects. Some of them can only be played in certain spots. Some spots require specific colors. And for other spots, depending upon what color you play, you get different effects. So, worker placement, Raiders of the North Sea, takes about, for 4 players, it took us for the first time about an hour to play, maybe an hour and a half. And once you got experience with it, it'll go a whole lot faster. So let's talk a little bit about the components. You have a rule book. It's pretty good. You have player reference cards. They're not so good. I wish they had had the iconography on them. They do have an iconography chart in here, which I thought was really good. Here's their iconography chart. I wish they'd had this on a player reference card, to be perfectly honest. You have hero cards. They look like this. Let's see if I can show you one here. There we go. That's what a hero card looks like. Very easy to use, very easy to understand. They serve dual purpose. One is you can hire them on as heroes or hire them on as crew and have them go on your raids with you, or you can also play them as action cards. You have all sorts of different pieces here. I put them in a little plastic box here. And I think the coolest thing about this one is even the standard game comes with these. These are the coins that you use to spend. Along with there's resources, and they're metal coins, and they're really neat because they ring, and that comes with the base game. Normally you only get those coins with kind of advanced versions of the game, and this one it comes with the base game. So the components are good. In terms of play style, it takes a little bit of time to get used to how this pick one play style works. Once you do it, it's really engaging. There's a fair amount of what I call that take that mechanic. So if you look here at these hero cards. Some of them, these are actions you can take if you play what's called the gatehouse location. Some of those allow you to interfere with other players, take their resources, that kind of stuff. So it's worker placement with a little bit of take that involved. And so I kind of like it's if you don't like take that, this may not be the best game for you. But it's not really heavy into take that. I think some of the other ones, in particular Shipwrights, has a much heavier take that mechanic on it. So again, the board is really nice. It takes a little while to get used to, but once you get used to the mechanics, I really, really like the game. For worker placement, it's easy. It's not nearly as daunting as, say, something like a Viticulture, Viticulture has so many choices, and there's all these different phases and all that kind of stuff. I really love viticulture, but for your standard worker placement person, a little bit hard to get used to. I would put it somewhere in between a light worker placement like Lords of Waterdeep and a heavier worker placement like something like a viticulture or something like that, or maybe even something like I did Affliction. Affliction's kind of a heavier worker placement game as well. So put it somewhere in the middle of the road. The components are excellent. They come with good components to begin with. If you're looking for a new type of worker placement game, something unusual, definitely pick up this game. This is a great game for someone who's looking for some alternative approaches to worker placement. It's easy to learn, relatively doing. There's lots of good videos out there that show you how to learn, and just a really fun game. That's what I'll have to say about it. So go out, Raiders of the North Sea. Right here, there's the box. Right there, Raiders of the North Sea. Right like that. Be sure to go out and pick up a trick. Now, they are in the middle of a Kickstart campaign. Actually, it might have ended, where they're doing an expansion for this. They're adding an additional fifth player, and they're adding some new features to it as well. They're adding a mead hall and some other stuff as well. So pick up this. After you've picked up this one, also pick up there's Shipwrights of the North Sea, which is the precursor to this, and there's Explorers of the North Sea, which is kind of the post-log after this. They are not worker placement. They're very different. And the neat thing about this trilogy of games is all of them use very different mechanics. And then there's actually an expansion. It's called the North Sea Saga, which lets you take the three games and play them as kind of a campaign. You play Shipwrights and you play Raiders and you play Explorers in sequence. So, and they have impacts on each other and how the play goes. So that's it. Have a good day.